Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the Missouri Tigers versus the Arkansas Razorbacks is our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? Happy Monday to all the listeners, all the viewers out there. We got some great college football game previews coming up for you this morning. Can't wait to start this one off in the SEC with the Missouri Tigers and Arkansas Razorbacks. It's going to be a good matchup, man. I can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, thank you so much for all your shares. And when you're doing your family thing, or you're going out and doing charity work, or you're working your job, if you have to work all through this holiday, we super appreciate all of the time that you take to tell everybody about our show, 100 Yards of Football. We keep hearing that you're at your family dinners, you're at your friends' houses, you're just hanging out watching football, and you're like, hey, have you guys been listening to 100 Yards of Football? And if they haven't, they're like, well, what's that? And then you just tell them it's this awesome live show that I watch every week that broadcasts live from Atlanta, Georgia. They cover the best shows in football, in college, in NFL. They cover the legends where they interview amazing interviews with legendary players. They talk to the players themselves. They talk to other broadcasters, and they keep me well informed about the world of football. And I also love listening to the podcast. And then they'll say back to you, oh, they have a podcast? And then you can say, yeah, I listen to it over on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and everywhere that podcast can be listened to. And you can say it to them just like that. So thank you so much again for everybody watching. And without further ado, Mr. Landers, tell us, the Missouri Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks, what do both fan bases have to look forward to this game?
Well, if you're Missouri, you're coming off of a good win against Florida last week, and it was really kind of the straw that broke the camel's back after after Missouri beat Florida this past Saturday. They fired their head coach, Dan Mullen. He is no longer the coach of Florida. So you can put that on your resume for this season. And Missouri's had a good year overall. I mean, they're above 500. They're 6-5 on the year. They're playing good football. And it is going to be a little bit of a tougher matchup here with Arkansas, who has had a tremendous season all in all. But they have some good players on their team. The quarterback, Connor Baszler, he had a great day last week. 15-26, 165 yards, 1 touchdown. Solid day for him, but the real story was the running game. Tyler Beatty, 27 carries, 146 yards for a touchdown. He's really been the key for this offense this year. Baszler has 16 touchdowns throwing, 10 interceptions, not too shabby. But Beatty is the real guy that gets this offense going because he's got 13 touchdowns on the year, over 1,000 yards rushing, and he's really just the heart and soul of this offense for the Mizzou Tigers. And, of course, you can't talk about the Tigers without the receiving corps as well, who had a good day this past Saturday. Dove, 2 catches for 72 yards. Heo, 3 catches for 68 and a touchdown. Both those guys had some big catches in the win. And then their defense put up some good work also. Only allowed 23 points, not too shabby. Got the win in OT also, so they were able to clutch up in the end. Chad Bailey, 9 tackles on the day for him. Blaze Aldridge, great name, 8 tackles for him. They had 2 sacks as a team, and they were looking good with Hansford, with Jeffcoat getting to the quarterback. But the real key that I think helped them get this ball game under wraps and get a W last Saturday, they had 11 tackles for losses. And Trajan Jeffcoat, 3.5, was responsible for those. So he was really a big help in that regard. They looked really good on Saturday against Florida. I don't know if they're going to be able to duplicate this effort against Arkansas. I know they're going to try their hardest. But Missouri has a good team. The offense is solid. The defense is able to come up clutch whenever they need to be. Aldridge is a tremendous linebacker. They've got also some great guys. He's got 4 sacks on the year also. Isaiah McGuire and the D-line's got 4.5 sacks. So, I mean, as a team, they're able to get to the quarterback. They were able to get 26 sacks so far this year. We'll see how many they can get this upcoming Saturday against Arkansas. But the Razorbacks have also had a pretty good year. They're 7-4. They lost against Alabama last week. We knew it was going to be a tough matchup, but they were able to keep it close, a lot closer than some people might have thought they would have. They lost 42-35. So while it was in the end a losing effort, it was a very close ball game that could have went either way. Arkansas put up a tremendous fight. We've seen them do that all the time this year against big teams. You know, they barely lost against Ole Miss earlier this year by 1 point. They lost against Alabama this past week. Against Auburn, that was kind of their big loss this year. In Georgia, it's Georgia, man. They've been steamrolling everyone. You can't put too much of the blame on that this year. But man, Arkansas, like I said, they came up short. But KJ Jefferson had a tremendous day: 22 of 30 passing, 326 yards in total, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's about as good as you can get against Alabama. You keep it clean. You were able to throw a few touchdowns, and you were able to have a very good accuracy at the end of the ball game. The running game wasn't really able to get things going as much as they probably wanted to. They only ran for 110 yards as a team. Dominique Johnson was able to get a touchdown, though. But I feel like if they were able to get a little bit more running offense going, that might have been what could have propelled them to a victory. But it just wasn't able to get going this past Saturday. Treylon Burks, man, we talked about him here on the show. We did a player profile on him. He is one of the most electric wide receivers in college football, and he showed it once again against Alabama. 8 catches, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. So a great day on the gridiron for him. And he was really a big key in keeping Arkansas in a tight matchup against the number 2 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. And the defense, like I said, a little bit tough day, gave up 42 points. But some of the bright spots, Grant Morgan had 11 tackles for them. They had 4 sacks as a team, so they were able to get to the quarterback. They spread that out with 1 each for a lot of guys. They got 8 tackles for losses. It's just they weren't able to contain Bryce Young, man. And Bryce Young, oh, what a great day for him. I got to talk about Alabama real quick because, my goodness, he had a tremendous day. Bryce Young threw for 31 of 40 passing, tremendous. 559 yards through the air, my goodness. And 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. It's hard to win when your quarterback's throwing dots like that. So just a rough day for Arkansas. They put up a good fight, but in the end, it was to no avail. But during this game here against Arkansas, Missouri, we're getting towards the end of the season. And, man, I think Arkansas has just got a better advantage right now. I think they've got a better team. They've had some tough losses overall, but I think that coming into this game, this upcoming Saturday, Arkansas will get the win in this one. But I'd go with the final score. I'm going to go with the Arkansas Razorbacks 35 and the Missouri Tigers 17. It's going to be a good game. I can't wait to watch it this upcoming Saturday. Trying to digest all that food this upcoming week, man. It's going to be a good week. And what better way to cap it off than watching some great college football with these two teams here.
I keep muting myself. Absolutely, man. And for everybody watching, like, what do you think the final score will be between Missouri and Arkansas? Like, we're really excited to be rounding out and getting closer and closer to the big games where we get to these final matches. We want to see both of our teams fight for it. We want to see them finish out strong. The Razorbacks have got their work cut out for them. But, man, what will happen if they upset, the Missouri Tigers at this late stage in the game? We want to see all these things happen. We want to see everybody get to their great bowl games. And we just want to see everybody close it out and have a great end to this football season so that we can all come together. We can continue on, and we can keep moving on and watch the NFL and finish out their season next because we've got quite a bit of football left to play. And you know how we do here. Once these great teams, round out their seasons, we'll start talking about what's coming next for these teams in the next season, what players are going to be coming up in the ranks, what players will be coming from high school into these teams to join these programs. And we want you to stay here right with us, watching on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. And if you're listening to our podcast right now, thank you so much to our listeners. And if you haven't listened to our podcast, grab your Spotify app, grab your Apple Music or Apple Podcast, and grab whatever it is that you listen to podcasts and just look up 100 yards of football. That's our picture you'll see right there with our football on the 50-yard line. We're brought to you each week by the Believe Podcast Network, which is our amazing sponsor, and we cannot be happier with the results that we've had in the last few years of rocking out our live show and now bringing you our podcast. So if you are listening to us right now, we highly encourage you to jump in, listen to our podcast, and if you're currently listening to the podcast right now, thank you so much for your support. And don't forget that we have tons of amazing videos and audio streams that are evergreen. And what I mean by evergreen is you can listen to them anytime because we do cover weekly and weekly shows that cover the sports games, like Arkansas versus Missouri this week. But we also cover historic games back through the 80s and 90s into the 70s, cover amazing history specials, and we talk about the best teams and what those teams have contributed to the sport of football throughout the years. So stay with us, keep listening. There are plenty of podcasts to listen to. We're in the on season, the off season, and everything in between from our entire team, including our host, Mr. Logan Landers, our founder, Vincent Turner, 12-time NFL veteran Bobby Butler, and our coaching expert, Kevin the Bull Jones. And so for the entire team here, I am the producer, Jeremiah Long, and you've been listening to our breakdown of Missouri versus Arkansas. We'll be right back with another live episode.